I can tell that you are in a completely different place to the person I've read about in the papers, and I know that you're driven. I know you're positive, and I know you've got so much going for you. And I feel not bad asking you these questions, but I understand there's a paradox there, between these are real stories. You did live it, and it's interesting for the viewers to hear it because one,
mate, go for it. Honestly,
they're gripping stories, but two, there are people that are going to live a very similar to life that you lived once before, and they don't see a way out. They're like, how the fuck can I turn my life around? And you're a great example of that. So let me bring you back to slicing your throat. I know it's going to sound a bit like a stupid question, and the viewers may say to me, why the hell have you asked such a dumb question? But why did you try and kill yourself?
Oh, mate, this is the most psycho thing I can ever do. And I know why I've been diagnosed with these mental health conditions is because I was mentally ill. I don't know if I cured it or a miracle occurred or I ever had them in the first place, but I can understand why I was given those labels. What happened was I was in my first relationship, and I've had trauma that I've just told you about. But this was a 1-year relationship when I was 17. Might have turned 18 by this point, 17, 18. And it was a breakup. And still to this day, that was the most painful thing I've ever been through. I don't know what she done to me, but that first love and that first heartbreak, it fucking shattered me. And we was having an argument one night, was been each other for a year, and a year relationship at 17 years old is quite a long time. And we had an argument, and she turned around and she just said to me, well, you know what? I cheated on you. And within 1 second, I felt the immediate loss of her, because I was like, she's done that. We can never be together. So she was ripped away from me, and it felt so painful. But then for some reason, it reminded me of my family who when I was about, fuck knows how old I was, 15 or 16, they ring fenced me from the family. They said, you're affecting your younger brother, because I got a brother that was 5 years younger. Said, you're affecting the family too much. We get a ring fence you, essentially cut you off. Not financially, they didn't ever give me any money anyway. But what they meant is I weren't gonna be part of the family anymore. You're not gonna get dinner. You come in, you go to your room, and they rejected me hardcore, which is enough for someone to deal with anyway. But when she told me she cheated at me, somehow in 1 second I felt that and that at the same time, and every confirmation that I was bad, because she kind of, when I got with her, I kind of thought, oh, you know what, maybe I am actually all right. Maybe I am actually lovable. Maybe I'm not this bad like guy who's incapable of, being decent to anybody. And at this point, things were starting to get bad with drink and things like that. And then when she did that to me, it just fucking ripped my heart out. Absolutely ripped my heart out. And I went psycho, saw red, like, the cliche saw red, literally saw red, blacked out. I don't remember it. Do I remember it? Yeah, no, I must remember it. Either that or I'm remembering it from what they recounted in like court and stuff like that, because it got a bit messy with restraining orders and stuff up. But anyway, I smashed the kitchen up, her mum's kitchen. I pulled out a kitchen drawer, and as the kitchen drawer fell on the floor, I saw a 6-inch kitchen knife, and I just picked it up and just went in a second, like fucking Wolverine. I don't even know. It was in a second. I don't even know how I did it. And I'd clipped, because the scar's still there now. Like I'd clipped an artery and, spurting with blood. So ambulance is called. I start fighting the paramedics. This is how I say that. I start fighting the paramedics. Then the police are called. They arrest me. They take me to the hospital. They pin me down. They stitch my neck up. Literally stitched it, because it was obviously not with the fucking butterfly stitches, with needle and thread or whatever, because they literally cut through almost an artery. Was literally a millimeter away from that being, complete goner. And what happened was I was such a psycho. I ripped out all the IVs, all the stuff, and I fucking ran up to her house. And can you imagine me knocking on her door, blood absolutely everywhere, with fucking needles hanging out my arm and the prison gown on, and I had nothing to say when she answered the door as well. So I'm just not going to do it. She's answered, and I'm just there. And the police arrested me. They sectioned me under the Mental Health Act, and they took me to St Albans Mental Health, Albany Lodge. Fucking crazy, absolutely crazy. Yeah. So these stories, sometimes I just drop them in, like, oh yeah, tried to commit suicide once. I got sexually abused. You know, when you really dive into them, it's like, fuck, some crazy stuff that went on, and yeah, it's kind of unbelievable. Which is why my story is so obviously fascinating to a lot of people, because I have done a complete turnaround.